In this lesson, I want to talk about how to use another really helpful tool called the Lasso tool and the gradient tool, which you'll be using for some homework. And these two tools are tools that I use in my everyday work for professional work and for my own personal work. So it would be really good to get used to this tool. And funny story, I actually didn't start using the Lasso tool until I worked at Marvel Studios and my art director taught me. And before that, I was just not using it. And now it's an indispensable tool. So yeah, definitely great. Okay. So before I do that, I want to go over something that I forgot to talk about, which is the crop tool that you see here. So crop tool trims or expands the edges of an image. This should have been in the earlier lessons, but I'll just show it now really quick. If you press this, you can drag. And if you press enter, you can crop. And essentially, it's kind of similar to canvas size where you're actually literally cropping something. Okay. So I'm going to control Z because I want to show you something. What if I have, this abstract painting and I've done this? Okay. And I go C, shortcut for crop, C, crop, and I crop it. You press enter, you're going to lose all that top stuff. Okay. So you see now it's actually cropped everything. And this is what you have now. So be aware that cropping crops out parts of your canvas, which means it will crop out part of your work and you can't get it back. Okay. So that was a quick thing about cropping. Now I want to talk about the lasso tool, which is the lasso tool right here. Looks like a lasso. Now there's two kinds, lasso and polygonal. You'll be using the first two. Okay, so lasso and polygonal. The magnetic tool I can show, but you really won't need it for this course. The lasso tool, let's first talk about that. This is the freeform lasso tool. Okay, so with this lasso tool, I love it because I can carve out any shape that I want. I can make curves, I can make straights, can make any wonky shape. Okay, so let's say I have that lassoed out. Now, you remember the shortcut to fill the shape in? I can press Option Delete, and because my green selected, it's going to fill it with green. Now, to get out of this ants shape, these ants trailing ants, marching ants, press Command D. Okay, so Command D will get you out of it. That's Command D. And I know there's so many hotkeys, so I'm going to just write that down. And I'm going to try my best to also write it in the key points below, but that's Command D. Okay, so Command T to get out of the marching. It's actually kind of cool. It looks like a foot. Now let's say I want to erase this. I'll just erase that bottom part. Okay. So let's kind of apply everything we've learned before. I want to make a clipping mask now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do new layer, and that's Option Command G. Okay. Now I want to show you how to use a gradient tool, which is a really nice way to get a soft transition between colors. So I'm going to press G, which is short for gradient tool. And you can hover here, you can watch a quick video on it. But G is the shortcut. Now there's newer layers have this really weird thing with the gradient tool that I hate. So when I recently reset my preferences on Photoshop, it went back to everything like how default, and I hated it. So I think the first thing you have to make sure is make sure you're on classic gradient, not gradient. The gradient will do this weird thing, and I honestly have no idea how to use this. It's super annoying and super frustrating. So make sure you're on classic gradient, okay? And then here, make sure you're on this. You're selected with this, because this means you're going to gradate a color on a transparent background, not two colors together. So click that. Right now it's green because I have the green color selected. Okay, so make sure not basic. So if you have all these presets, you're going to stick with those presets. You're going to be grading in the colors they give you. So make sure you choose this right here. Again, it's going to look different for you if you have yellow chosen. Let's say, let's actually choose a different yellow. It's going to look like this now. So choose that. Now here, there's lots of options. Okay, it's just basically the pattern at which it's gradating. I usually like to stick with this second one. gives you the most naturalistic gradating effect. So this one right here, the second one that looks like a soft circle. Normal, I leave this at normal. Don't worry about mode. Make sure it's at normal. Opacity, I like to make it about 30%. That's a good. 100% opacity will be too thick. And I honestly don't know what these two, but I have it checked at transparency and perceptual, although we can play around with these two. I'm actually going to go to classic. I'm not sure what, actually not even sure what they do, but I'm going to switch it to classic. Uh, so let's stick with classic for now for the method. So basically what happens is we've clipped the layer to this main layer, right? And now if I use a great gradient tool with G and I drag, you can see now I'm dragging this yellow and it's creating a soft gradating transition. Okay. I can do a new layer and I can choose another color, maybe a lighter yellow, and I can do that. Now I can gradate that. Now, the higher this opacity, the thicker it's going to get. You see that? So I don't always want that. I sometimes want something really subtle. So maybe I'll change it to 24 and I'll just kind of keep dragging it until I get the yellow that I want. You can also, can do it with another color. Let's say I want some pink and I want to gradate that as well. That's why I like the gradient tool because it's really helpful for getting nice transitions. Now, the other way to do this, if you don't like using the gradient tool, is to use the soft brush. The soft brush is going to be your next best friend. You can almost get the same effect. I'm pressing very lightly right now to get that soft gradating effect. So if you don't want to use a gradient tool, you can use the soft brush as well, but I use the gradient tool a lot, especially for things that need a soft transition, maybe clouds, maybe shadows, or whatever it may be. So that is clipping masks again, and that is the lasso tool and gradients. Now I'm going to group this, Command G, and we can turn it off. The polygonal lasso tool is what it sounds like. You can only get straight edges. And there's a way to actually get curved edges with this, but I don't remember the hotkey right now, and I actually don't ever use it. I'm really good at using the lasso tool, and I don't like the polygonal lasso tool. It's just a little bit more rigid. It's great if you want to get something straight. Okay, so if you press and Shift and Shift, it will give you straight horizontal and vertical lines. And sometimes that's great, right? So let's say I want that. Click to exit. Sometimes you have to click a few times to exit out of it. And then maybe I fill it with a solid shape, or you don't have to do that. You can just start painting in this shape with whatever brush you want. So let's say I want to start painting in this shape. And then when I'm done, I press Command D and then it will exit out. I can do whatever I want with the shape. I can scale it, make it bigger, place it in the corner, move it. I can create a clipping mask on it. Okay. And fill it in. Now, a quick thing about clipping mask. I start to remember stuff as I'm doing things, and I realize that I didn't teach it before. Let's say you have this layer right here and it's slightly transparent, and you clip a layer to it. Everything you put on is going to be that level of transparency that the parent, I'll call this the parent layer, has, the parent shape. So because the parent shape is already very transparent, nothing you put down will be super thick. Okay. So no matter what I put down, even I'm picking a very saturated orange, it's not going to show because my bottom layer is not full opacity. Does that make sense? So just keep that in mind in case you're wondering, like, why is this not the color I'm putting down? I chose very saturated orange and it's not putting it down. That's why. Check your parent layer. Maybe that's the reason. Now, the magnetic lasso tool, really don't worry about it. But if you're really curious, um, let's do this. So the magnetic lasso tool basically magnetically lassos. So let's say you need to get this shape tight. Okay, maybe this is helpful. And I only want to get this shape, but if I use a lasso tool to freeform, gosh, that would be so hard, right? So There's two ways I can do this. I can use the magnetic lasso tool and it's just gonna literally, if the colors are distant enough and the values are distant enough, it's gonna snap to the border. And then what can I do? I want to make this, oh, it's already on a separate layer. So I don't need to do anything, but that's how you can select this. Okay. It works well when the shape is clear and it's solid. Now, the other way is to use the magic wand tool. Okay, the magic wand tool selects an area based on its color. So because this color is bright orange and I have it against the blue background, it's going to select it very easily. So that's this tool right here, magic wand tool. Now, this is helpful, especially let's say I have that problem of having it merged again, right? Because this is a different color, I can use the magic wand tool, select it, and then let's use what we learned before. Control C, Control X. Now it's gone. Shift Control V, and now I've selected it and pasted it on a new layer. Now you're wondering why is that weird white background outline right there? It's because it's kind of, there's like a border around it, right? So all good. All I need to do is just select this eyedropper tool, select the blue, and then press Commit Option Delete to fill up my whole canvas again. Option Delete. So hopefully you're starting to find that we're learning the previous lessons. And then now it doesn't have that weird outline. And now everything is on its separate layer. Okay? So just to recap, L, lasso tool, and you can select between these two. So if you just click, hold with your mouse, left button mouse, these options will pop up. I like the lasso tool the best. So I can practice getting usually pretty straight lines. I can get curves, and you can see that I can, get all these really cool shapes. And once you get really good at carving shapes, this can be a really fast way to paint. You have the polygonal lasso tool and the magnetic lasso tool, which I just demonstrated. And you have the magic wand tool, which is selecting an area based on its color. Okay, which can be really helpful to select shapes that are solid different color and you want to, do something with them. So I could select this and I could control T and I can now scale that. Okay. I could select this and I could control T. So you can use it to select individual things and adjust them. And last but not least, I like to use the gradient tool in conjunction with the lasso tool because I like to basically get nice gradient within shapes. So G for gradient. Let's say I want to gradate this blue. Make sure it's on classic gradient. Make sure this is chosen. The second option, you can choose these options. They'll create weird kind of patterns for you. Like sometimes you see that, like that one creates a weird pattern, and I don't always want that. So most of the time, I just select the second one. I'd move it to about 30% for starter, and then just start dragging. And now I'm gradating that blue, and now I can get a nice mix between blue and orange. It's almost like mixing colors together because now that's essentially kind of blue mixed with orange. So that's all for this lesson. Lasso tool, magic wand tool, and gradient tool.